Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome. We got Marlins CEO Derek Jeter with us this morning. As usual, we'll do the raise your hand function. So if everybody could please utilize that on Zoom, that would help things go a little quicker. Jess, if you want to start us off, go ahead.
Thanks, Jason. Hey, Derek, how are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Hey, we were just talking to Miguel Rojas the other day, and he said, even though there aren't fans in the stands, we still owe it to them to put a good product on the field and to show them that we're turning the corner. Even though the season is only 60 games, how much do you think it will be an indicator as to how much progress you guys are making as an organization?
Yeah, well, first of all, what I've told our players all along, I've been preaching that since we took over almost 3 years ago, is that every single game counts. You know, every pitch, every swing, every at bat, every inning, every game is important. And if you have that mindset, then nothing really changes. You know, I understand the fact that over a course of 162 games, it's a marathon. And, you know, you hear everyone saying this year it is a sprint. But we need to hit the ground running. And, you know, our guys need to improve. You know, we need to improve year in and year out. The young guys that we have to show that they're going to be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent this year. But yeah, we have to show strides. We have to keep, you know, taking those steps in the right direction. And, you know, I think Miggy said it perfectly. I mean, he's one of the leaders that we have on our team, obviously in the clubhouse and on the field. And it's good to hear him say that, because I think not only us from an ownership standpoint, with the fan base as well, they want to see our team get continually better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jordan McPherson, go ahead. You there, Jordan? Having some audio issues. All right, let's go. Go ahead, Joe Frisaro.
Hey, Derek. How do prospects fit into the equation this year? Obviously, like you say, there's more of a go for it now mode than ever with the sprint, and you got some guys that are getting really close. And how do you kind of make the call on those guys that, hey, they can help us right now get where we want to go?
Well, look, there's a 60-player pool, right? Bottom line is there any player in that pool could have the opportunity to help us. That's the reason why they're there. And, you know, we have a lot of prospects. We've had a lot of prospects that are pretty close to the major league level. And, you know, it's important for them to continue to develop. And they'll get an opportunity to do that while they're down in Jupiter. And they have to stay ready, because you never know what's going to happen. But in terms of our mindset doesn't change. I mean, the bottom line is we're building an organization here. We're building a culture here. When you talk about culture, it's having the mindset to win. It starts with that. You always hear, you know, what comes first? Is it culture or is it winning? Is it winning or is it culture? I think, well, the culture of having a winning mindset is where it all begins. And our guys are going to go out there and they're going to take the field, and they're expected to perform, and they're expected to go out there and win. So in that sense, nothing changes here with us. But our prospects, you know, at a particular point, everyone can get an opportunity to play at some point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Danny Alvarez.
Thank you, Jason. Good morning, Derek. As a follow-up to that, a couple of days ago, we were talking to Francisco Cervelli, and he mentioned that the school he had with the Yankees was, you know, that winning mentality, and that you guys, I mean, his objective was to change that culture here in Miami as well, you know, to have that winning mentality and winning culture. Something that you have mentioned in the 3 years that you have with the team. Have you noticed that, you know, over the course of these 3 years and the last couple of weeks from what you saw on spring training and also in summer camp?
Well, I think, yeah, you go back to the original spring training. I think you saw a lot of excitement. You saw excitement from our fan base. We had a group out there that was extremely fun to watch. Obviously, in spring training 2.0, the fans haven't had an opportunity to watch until last night's game. And but there is a mindset that I believe is starting to change here in the organization over the last couple of years. I mean, you can't accept mediocrity. I mean, like I said, we preach it over and over and over again. And this is something that is taught from rookie ball on up, is that when you take the field, you're taking the field with the mindset that you're going to win. And you have to do the small things. You have to do everything possible in your power to help the team win. And that's not going to change. But I think you are starting to see that with the younger players that are coming up. And you're also starting to see that in the Major League clubhouse as well. We've got some guys that have been here for a couple of years that have gotten better. We've made some, had some quality additions, guys that come into our organization that have had some experience being in teams that have been in pennant races, and we expect those guys to pass on. You mentioned Servy, pass on some of the knowledge that he's gained throughout his experiences in baseball, and share that with the younger guys. But I think you are starting to see that from an organizational mindset.
I'm going to jump in. Jordan was having some audio problems. So his question, Derek, was, does the team have a plan?
If you got audio problems, he's out.
Does the team have a plan in place or got any insight as to what they can do with players outside of the 60-man pool?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Does the team have a plan in place or have any insight into what they can do with the players that are outside of the current 60-man pool?
Yeah, it's a good question because, look, without having a minor league season this year, the goal is to make sure that our players continue to develop. You can only have 60 players in this pool, and trust me when I say it, there's a lot of conversations that we had to come up with the 60 players that we're going to put in this pool. And but you want to make sure that our guys, that we have prospects at the lower levels as well. We have a lot of prospects we would have loved to have in our 60-player pool, but unfortunately we didn't have that opportunity. But we want to make sure that these guys have every opportunity that they can to continue to develop. And if that means an extended spring training, extended instructional league, if that means it's some sort of a different Arizona fall league, these are all conversations that I think are these conversations will start to pick up a little bit more, I think, now once the season gets going. But it's a top priority for us.
Andy Slater?
Hey, Derek. Todd Hollandsworth on the broadcast last night said he believes the Marlins have a legitimate shot to win the World Series. How do you react to that, and do you agree with that?
How do I react to it? I think we would worry about winning opening day. You take it one game at a time. Everyone has a shot to win. As soon as you take the field, you have a shot to win. That's why there's so much optimism every year in spring training amongst all 30 clubs. But, my mind never went there when, I was a player. My mind doesn't go there now. I think you take it one day at a time. But we have a group that's talented. We have talent. I think we've gotten better at the major league level. We have guys that are coming. They're on their way. But you got to perform on the field. But I always look at things one day at a time.
Okay, Brendan Tobin?
Yeah, Derek, can you take us into, how emotionally you handled the shutdown season? Because you guys, have bigger expectations this year as you've had this whole plan of, putting into place the prospects, the right players, and just wanted to ratchet that up this year. So what was it like when the season was shut down, knowing that this was supposed to be a kind of a big step for you guys with your whole operation?
Yeah, I tell you, it was tough because when we did shut down, no one knew if and when we'd come back. You're dealing with a lot of unknowns. And when you talk about players developing, especially young players, they need to play the game. You can only hit in the cages so much. You can only simulate games so much. You need to get on the field actually and compete. So in that sense, it's been pretty frustrating that, our guys haven't been able to play, but everyone's facing the same issue. And, you just have to learn to deal with it, and you just try to play catch up as much as you can. And that's why I mentioned hopefully having that opportunity, whether it's an extended instructional league or an Arizona fall league, just so our guys can get out and not necessarily miss an entire year.
Steve Wine, AP?
Hi, Derek. We're doing a story on no team repeating as World Series champions in 20 years. I've got two questions for you. Number one, why do you think there's been such a long drought?
It's hard. That's why it's hard. It's hard to win one, let alone to repeat. There's a lot of good teams out there, and there's a lot of good players out there. So, I've always said it, I'm sure you guys have probably heard me say it, that, the best teams make the postseason, the hottest team wins. And to do that in back-to-back seasons is pretty difficult to do. It goes without saying how hard it is.
So what is it that made those Yankee teams so special?
We had the mindset that we were pretty good at forgetting about the past, good or bad. Whether we won, whether we lost, we forgot about it and we moved on. We never walked around wearing championship rings. It was, how are we going to do this year and how are we going to get another one? So look, we had a group that cared about only one thing, and that was winning. And you know, you look at it, we won, 3 in a row, and then it took us 9 years to win again. So it's not easy to do. We never took it for granted. And we understood that a lot of hard work and a lot of luck has to come into play. So yeah, it's difficult. Thanks for pointing that out, because I think a lot of times people think it's easier than it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll go back to Joe Frisaro.
Derek, during summer camp, you got a chance to see how the ballpark would play with the dimension changes and the new turf. How your reaction to it as you saw it a few weeks, and in terms of tailoring to construction of your roster, how much is that going to factor into the players that you kind of look to develop and acquire and make the ballpark be a real home field advantage for them?
Yeah, the turf. We've gotten rave reviews from our players on the turf. This turf is it's a lot different than the artificial surfaces that I played on. Because when I was playing, I didn't particularly like the artificial surfaces, but this is as close to grass as you can possibly get. We had an opportunity to go out to Arizona and take a look at their turf this past off season, and also speak to a lot of players. Our players that played on the turf in Arizona, speak to their front office, and they were raving about it. And our players have said the same. It's a lot of, in some sense, you can't really tell the difference between turf and natural grass, because it plays a lot like the old grass here at Marlins Park. In terms of how we're building our team, I don't think it changes anything in terms of how we're building our team, because we want guys that are great athletes, that we want guys that can beat you in many different ways, whether it's with speed, whether it's with offensively, defensively. So I don't think it changes anything, because it is so similar to the natural surface.
Craig Minervini.
Hi, Derek. Good to see you. What did you think of the game last night, or at least the first 7.5 innings, firstly? And do you think that might be a little slice of things to come offensively and maybe defensively too?
Yeah, thanks for adding that last bit to it. I tell you what, I said it to our staff earlier today. I don't think I've ever been so excited to watch a spring training game before. So it was good for us to get back on the field, and it was. It's good to see. Our guys. It's very important that they have an opportunity to play these exhibition games against another team prior to opening day, because when you're playing inter-squad games, a lot of the time it's a lot different. You have pitchers that may be a little bit timid to throw inside, so you're not really getting a real feel for the competition. So it was good to see our guys come out and swing the bats well. Unfortunately, you saw that 8th inning play out, but a lot of bright spots for us, and we have one more day to work out the kinks and get ready to go on Friday.
And as a follow-up, offensively, obviously a big thing was improving the offseason. You brought in some guys, and you saw a little bit of that last night, even additions like Cervelli, you saw them both offensively, defensively. What about the offense this year? And everybody's talking it's going to be a little more explosive, a little easier said than done, but do you think we're going to see an exciting offense?
You'd like to think so. I mean, we've added some guys that are professional hitters, and add a little depth to our lineup, because it's no secret. It goes without saying we had problems scoring runs last year, and you hope that these guys that we've added to the team this year are going to help us score a little bit more. I think the DH is going to help as well, get an extra bat in there. So we're very optimistic, and looking at our lineup this year, and hopefully over time you'll be able to see that not only the guys that we've added to the organization, but our younger players, that they continue to develop.
All right, we're going to give it a go with Jordan again.
Jordan, man, give up. Oh, there you go. Give up, Jordan. Unmute.
Yeah. Jordan, I don't know what's happening there. It's not coming across. All right, send me your question again. All right, let's go to another Herald. Go, Barry.
Hi, Derek. Thanks so much for doing this. Obviously, the TV deal is a big component of revenues going forward.
Sorry. Can you start over? Sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks for doing this today. Obviously, the new TV deal will be a big component as far as revenues going forward. I wouldn't ask you about specific numbers, obviously, but in general, has the pandemic impacted what Fox and Sinclair appear willing to offer for TV rights? Has it made a deal tougher to strike?
I love how you started off with you're not going to ask any specifics, but then you ask specifics.
No, I said I wouldn't ask any numbers, but in general, has it made it tougher?
Well, I think, look, it's where we stand right now as an organization. Obviously, I think the pandemic set a lot of people back. And I think we've been focused on getting back on the field and getting our season underway. And I'm pretty sure Sinclair's been doing the same thing as well. So, we have discussions. We continue to have discussions. Everyone knows that the deal that we have is well below market. And we want a partner that looks at this organization and they see the bright future that's on the horizon. So we'll continue to have those discussions. Obviously, I'm not going to give you any specifics like you said right now, but everyone knows this is the last year of our TV deal, and one way or another, we'll have another one going into next season.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Steve Wine, back with AP.
Eric, I've got another World Series question for you. Do you think there will be one? That is, do you think, how optimistic are you baseball is going to be able to navigate this situation and pull this off and hold an entire season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic, but look, I think MLB's done a great job with the health and safety protocols that they put in place in the ballpark, right? Whether it's our park or the other 29 parks around the country. But it's going to be up to the players as well. I spoke to them right before they left and headed to Atlanta and said, look, you have to take into consideration what you're doing away from the ballpark. I think that's where the discipline is going to have to come from, is because, we can take care of you while you're here, but when you go home, that's when you have to be safe. And you have to take into consideration also that, the decisions that you make don't only necessarily affect you as an individual. It affects your family, it affects your teammates, it affects your teammates' families. So you have to be smart, but I am optimistic. I've been extremely proud of the professionalism that our players have shown, and it appears that the professionalism is being shown from players around the league.
Okay, we'll go back to Danny Alvarez.
Thank you, Jason. Derek, last night we saw what Jesus Sanchez can do on a baseball field, and you also saw him at Marlins Park alongside with Lewin and Monte.
Yeah.
I want to know your impressions on them, and I don't know if you have been to Jupiter to see the guys that are on the alternate camp.
Yeah, no, I mean, first, I have not been to Jupiter yet. I still have to have some conversations with my wife, and hopefully she will allow me to get to Jupiter at some point. But our players, we're excited about the guys that we have. Look, I mean, I know we keep talking about the fact that there's no minor league season, but, we were excited about the guys that were going to be in AAA. And we were excited to go see them and see these guys play together for the first time. But yeah, you mentioned Jesus, you have Monte, you have Max that we just signed, you have Blade. I mean, we have a lot of guys that I can go on and on about all the players that we have that are close to being here in Miami. So we're excited about it, but they need to continue to develop. And at some point, they're going to be here in Miami, and you expect them to hit the ground running.
Okay, we got a couple more here. Andy, go ahead.
Derek, I know you are doing a lot. People in the organization are doing a lot to build a winner, and also a lot with Marlins Park. So does it frustrate you when you hear players, and recently Brandon Nemo, say playing in an empty stadium feels like I'm playing in Miami? Does that frustrate you hearing that?
Does it frustrate me? No, it doesn't frustrate me. Does it frustrate me that we don't have more fans in the ballpark? Of course. But, that's our job is we got to make sure that we build an organization. Like I've told you guys before, I think the fans at some point, I think initially they were waiting to see if we were really going to do what we said we were going to do. And I said from day one that I can't expect the fan base just to trust me because I say this is what I'm going to do or what we're going to do as an organization. We have to earn that trust over time. So, look, I look back to some games that, to speak to Donnie, some games Donnie playing in old Yankee Stadium in the late 80s and early 90s, and it wasn't a full house, right? It took a little time for that. So it's the same thing here, but we are pretty optimistic just from the engagement that we've gotten from our fan base, the excitement that our fan base is showing. Whether you go back to Fan Fest earlier this year or you go into spring training. So look, no one wants a full house more than I do. No one wants a full house more than our players do. But unfortunately, that takes a little bit of time, and we'll get there.
Just a quick follow-up. If the numbers get better with the virus, at any point, will you plan on bringing fans back this year?
Well, I think it'd be irresponsible to even think about that right now. You look at the numbers in South Florida, and they continue to increase. So at this particular time, we're not thinking about bringing fans back. I hope that we one day sit down and we have the discussion that, look, we're ready to have fans in place, but we got to make sure that our fans are safe. We got to make sure that our players are safe. We have to make sure that our staff is safe. And it's a little premature, I think, to have those discussions now.
All right, Craig Minervini, take us home here.
Derek, what effect, and is this a conversation you've had with the team, with the lack of fans in a building everywhere? No, there is some noise drummed in, so that kind of, on TV, it had a pretty good feel, I thought, last night. But what effect tangible does that have? And is anything the players have to do to overcome not playing in a so-called major league atmosphere, do you think?
Yeah, it's strange, man. I was there for the workouts that we had in spring training 2.0, and it's quiet. You can play music. Obviously, you can't play music during the game, but I think when they pumping in the crowd noise helped out quite a bit. I think when you're watching TV, unless they're panning to the stands, in some sense, you can't even tell the difference with the crowd noise being pumped in. So I think that helps out a little bit. But look, it's going to take a lot of focus. Players are going to have to focus, and players are going to have to be disciplined. And quite frankly, the team that's focused the most and the team that shows the most discipline, ultimately, in my opinion, is going to be the team that's standing at the end of the season. So it's going to be a challenge. Look, it's no one's used to it. It's going to take you back to playing summer ball when you were in grade school and high school. And, it's going to take you back to your true love of the game. But it will be a challenge to focus.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you guys in person soon.
Thanks, Derek.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Derek.
Stay safe.
Thank you.